multiverse is defined as a hypothetical realm consisting of a number of universes, of which our own universe is one. And so this record for me was about breakthrough into new dimensions of existence, creatively, personally, musically, after some extremely challenging life upheavals and initiatory events. Also, I believe there's so much more to the nature of reality than we can even imagine. I guess a lot of the songs are about that. One nature. After my last album cycle, I was pretty burnt out. I've been on the road a good 7 years, maybe longer, traveling many continents, amazing adventures, wonderful time. But I've been living out of a suitcase. I hadn't had much rest. I hadn't been able to take stock, and I wasn't enjoying the competition aspect. Many aspects, I felt like I'd lost touch with the music and the joy of the music. And my trip to Ibiza that sparked off this record was supposed to be a kind of an antidote for that. I had no idea of what I was doing, why I was doing it, how long. I got a ticket for a week to jam with a friend of mine who's a DJ who lives over there. I met the people that were living next door, very eccentric, quirky artist types. And there was a space for me to move in there, and I just didn't get on my plane to get back to London. And I stayed a year and a half, 2 years, met the eventual producer of my record, and we started working together very organically. And so now I have a new record, and I'm back, and a new inspiration and a new way of playing and creating. Under the black moon, sell it to yourself, painting all accomplices. Under the black moon, Blood Moon was the first song I finished writing for the record, the first song I wrote on arriving on the island of Ibiza. The last song we ended up recording, actually. It's a song, I guess, about temptation, about going down the wrong path, knowing full well that you're going down the wrong path and doing it anyway. It was, I guess, conceived of and began as this guitar riff that I'd be playing on the rocks at the beach for quite a few weeks before I ended up writing it. Just this very kind of bluesy, Ali Farka Touré, African, Robert Johnson, voodoo riff like this. Arriving in the island and working with the people I was working with, it got infused with trip-hop and electronica to give it this electronic voodoo styling. I recorded my first album in Oxfordshire, in the English countryside, and a bit of London. My second one was in LA, kind of Venice Beach area, and it was that LA vibe. My third album was back home in Cape Town. And each has specific, distinct flavor, and I wanted to continue that tradition and work somewhere completely different. And Ibiza, contrary to what people think, there are actually two sides to the island. The north side of the island is a lot more interesting. There's curious folks around, quirky, eccentric types, a lot of artists, a lot of drum circles, deep meditation, things happening, shamanic ceremonies, all that side of the world. It was pretty exciting and stimulating when I first arrived, and of course, you know, being able to be in the sea most days, being involved in singing circles and yeah, music all the time, lots of dancing. It definitely informed the record and brought a lot of light to the project. One nature, welcome the dawning, welcome the dawning sun. The song I call One Nature, another beautifully happenstance written song. Pretty much the week before I arrived on the island, I remember waiting for a friend of mine to get to his place. I was at his place and I was waiting for him to show up, and I had the guitar with me, and I started playing this very electronica sounding almost keyboard riff on the guitar. It went like this. And I had this melody for it that I thought was beautiful, but I didn't know what it was until much later when I arrived on the island. And I think it was even a dream when I woke up the next morning and I knew, oh, the words, it's one nature, and then the next line, welcome the dawning sun. So the song called Touch is probably, I would say at this point, my favorite song on this record, maybe even my favorite song I've ever written. It's very much about breaking through into new dimensions of thinking and seeing the world. It's kind of sensual in a way as well. Different people I've played it to have got different vibe from the song. It was one of the easiest songs I've ever written. I'd been jamming on some things I'd written on my laptop, some textures and beats that I'd forgotten about even before I arrived on the island. And then the one afternoon I just had this thought in my head, I'm gonna go pull that up and see what happens. And I put it on the laptop and had listened, banged in the microphone, and without knowing what I was doing, I sang it word for word, the whole chorus in one go. And I was super excited. I knew it was good, and I ran out the room to where there was some folks hanging out in the living room, and I was like, guys, come and hear this, and hauled them all into the room, and I was like, check it out. And I played them the chorus start to finish, and then I was like, okay, you all got to go, and kicked them out. And yeah, I finished the song in 25 minutes, which is usually how you know it's a good one. Record, I was wanting to push my boundaries, what I'm comfortable with creatively, even musically, lyrically. I was playing in different keys than I'm used to, playing in different times than I'm used to, using different instruments. The best example of that, I would say, is a song called Lost Heads, which is about all the weird souls like me finding their way in the world. It's a bit deeper than that. There's a few different levels it works on. So working with Lasse Mosgaard, I hope I said his name right. It is Danish. My Danish is rusty. I met him at the second place I lived on the island, and we started working together almost immediately. It was very organic. We were at first just talking about music, and we were bringing drums to the beach. There were drum circles and jamming in the house we were in with whatever musicians were around. And I handed him some of my sketches that I'd done on the laptop, and it just kind of happened. One thing led to another, and then we were working every day and jamming in the studio. I think living at the place you're working in makes it all very intense and immersive, because you're never off, you're just there, and at any time you can have an idea and like tap on the dude's door and be like, come, we've got to put this down now, or I'd just be going off on my own into nature and jamming and writing. But the thing about Lasse is he's tremendously musical, plays lots of instruments, and more so than anyone I've ever worked with, created this real three-dimensional sound. When you put on headphones or listen in great speakers, you're just surrounded by sound. Do you want more? It's about that guy, that girl who's living in the routine, days are spinning past, looking for meaning, but it's there. It's quite anthemic and uplifting in that kind of way. I guess next, while I wrap up the record and all the things around the record, there's my live show, which I'm working on quite intensely to build something entirely new and be able to do things I've not been able to do. There'll be a lot of traveling, I'm sure, returning to all the countries I've been before, and hopefully breaking through into a few new countries.
One nature, one nature, welcome the dawning, welcome the dawning sun. One nature, everybody, everyone, nature, welcome the dawning, welcome.